If an avoidant truly lets you go, you are gone. No nostalgia, no lingering attachment. But if they don't, it's because something about you disrupted their usual emotional shutdown. And that type of disruption does not fade. You see, avoidants cope by compartmentalizing, and they're very good at it. And I should know because I'm a self-aware, dismissive avoidant. So we put people, relationships, and emotional experiences into boxes. Then we close the box, lock it, and move on. That's how avoidants avoid dealing with feelings that feel overwhelming or unsafe. But there is one box that just won't stay closed. Darn it. One person who does not fit neatly into a category. One person whose presence in our mind refuses to be filed away and forgotten. And this isn't obsession, and it's not longing in the romantic sense. It's an emotional experience that our nervous system never fully resolved. And so our brain keeps returning to it, trying to integrate something that didn't fit our usual pattern of detachment and emotional shutdown. And because it never fully gets integrated, it stays active. And that's the person that avoidants don't truly let go of. So who is this magical person? What traits do they have? Do you have one or more of those traits? Well, stay tuned and you'll find out. Hi, if you're new here, my name is Lucia. I'm a dating and relationship expert specializing in helping you get your ex back or to get over them. And if you're not new, then you are part of my no contact army, and welcome back. Thanks for being here again. Okay, so who is this person who avoidance cannot forget? This person is often the one who made them feel safe enough to open up. Because when an avoidant shares their deepest fears, their insecurities, or their childhood wounds, they're actually violating their own internal rules. They're exposed. And if you were someone who handled that vulnerability with real care, without judging, without dismissing it, and without ever using it against them later, then you showed them something that their nervous system didn't believe was possible. That is that being vulnerable doesn't always have to end in pain. That being fully seen doesn't automatically lead to rejection. Think of it like someone who's afraid of dogs because they've had bad experiences in the past, until one day they meet a dog that's calm and loving and protective. That doesn't totally erase their fear of dogs, but it becomes the exception. So you become that exception. Even if the relationship ended, even if years have passed, even if they're with someone new now, their nervous system is going to remember the safety that you created. You become the benchmark for what trust feels like. Avoidants also don't forget the person who stayed calm when they deactivated. We all know about avoidant deactivation, right? So when they pulled away emotionally, when they became distant or unavailable, when they withdrew instead of communicating, you did not panic. You did not beg. You did not demand reassurance, and you did not abandon them either. You witnessed them in a state they usually hide, and you stayed regulated. And that creates a bond deeper than romantic love. Because for an avoidant whose deepest fear is abandonment, this teaches them that love doesn't require constant validation or perfect behavior. So how you respond when they pull away determines whether you become forgettable or unforgettable. And if you would like to be unforgettable and you would like help to get your ex back, avoidant or not, you can contact me at theartoflove.net/coaching, and we will send you the rates. They are not on the website. And the link to that, the direct link, is underneath every single video and podcast. Okay, next, you had a life that didn't revolve around them. You had passions, goals, a social life, and identity that existed outside the relationship. You wanted them, but you didn't need them to feel whole. And this matters because most avoidants eventually experience partners who start orbiting around them, becoming anxious whenever they need space, but you didn't do that. You represented intimacy without engulfment, connection without suffocation. You proved that being in a relationship doesn't automatically mean losing yourself. And that experience becomes their reference point for what healthy intimacy looks like. Also, when your needs weren't being met, you didn't beg for consistency. You didn't ask for closure. You didn't create drama or guilt trip them. You simply calmly stated your boundaries, and if they crossed them, you walked away. And for an avoidant who's used to people chasing them, because they're always pulling back, so often they're dating someone who's anxious, and the anxious person is going to start chasing when the avoidant pulls back. So when they're used to people chasing them and accepting half-hearted effort, your self-respect and walking away is going to be shocking to them. You became the one who got away because you valued yourself too much to accept less. And that kind of self-respect and self-worth leaves a permanent mark. And by the way, if you're in no contact with your avoidant and you're having a hard time not reaching out, not chasing them, then be sure to check out my app Silencio, available in both the App Store and in Google Play to help you stay in no contact. And while you're at it, check out my book, available at nocontactsecrets.com, where you can read 2 free chapters before purchasing the book. And the link for both is underneath every single video and podcast. Okay, the next trait of someone avoidants cannot forget is that you recognize that they were avoidant, and instead of using that knowledge to control them or try to fix them, instead you used it as a map. So you worked with their wiring instead of against it. You gave them space without making it about you. You didn't take their withdrawal personally, because it's not personal, although everyone wants to think it is. You understood their patterns were protective mechanisms that were developed in childhood. Being understood without being made to feel broken is actually one of the most powerful experiences an avoidant, or actually anyone, can have. That's what we all want. Someone who just understands us without us having to explain ourselves constantly. And that level of understanding creates a bond that goes far beyond romantic attachment. And also, another trait would be that your presence shifted something in them. Maybe they finally went to therapy. Maybe they finally began recognizing their patterns. Maybe they started healing wounds that they had ignored for years. You didn't force the transformation, you inspired it. So if your relationship prompted them to work on themselves, then you're not just an ex. You are part of their transformation story, because you changed the trajectory of how they relate to people. That's huge. That does not go away. And finally, avoidants do not forget the person who made them break their own rules. They swore they would never commit. They would never say, I love you first. They would never get married. They would never introduce someone to family. They would never build a future. And yet they did. Not because you demanded it, not because you manipulated it, but because being with you made them question everything they thought they knew about themselves. You expanded their understanding of what they're capable of feeling and doing. Avoidants don't easily forget people who are the exception to their rules, who made them question everything they thought they knew. You proved their rules weren't as absolute as they thought, and that realization does not just disappear. So not every unforgettable person gets a reunion. Not every unresolved bond leads to a reconciliation. But being unforgettable was never about chasing or proving your worth. It's about how they felt in your presence and what that feeling woke up in them. And that's the one box avoidance cannot fully close. So now I want to hear from you. How many, if any, of these traits do you have? And if you're trying to get your ex back and don't want to make any mistakes that will push them further away, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on any future videos and podcasts. And in the meantime, remember that love inspires, empowers, uplifts, and enlightens.